Lucas, an ambitious young man, left his wife, Sophia, in search of wealth and success. 23 years passed, and life took its course. However, upon returning to his hometown, Lucas was confronted with a scene that broke his heart. Sophia next to a young man who was his exact copy. It was a sunny day, and the gentle breeze carried the scent of fresh flowers across the college campus. Students from all over were gathering, sharing laughter and nerves as they prepared for the new chapter of their lives. Among them was Lucas, a young man with dark hair and bright eyes, who, although just a teenager, exuded confidence and charm. He was the kind of guy who drew looks, not just for his appearance, but for his charismatic way of presenting himself to the world. Since he was little, Lucas had dreamed of being a millionaire, and each goal he set was another stone in the construction of his empire. He was determined to stand out, make his mark, and achieve whatever he desired. Meanwhile, on the other side of the campus, there was Sophia. With long hair and a gentle expression, she walked with a calmness that seemed rare amid the frenzy of new students. While many were busy making grand plans and discussing their expectations, Sophia allowed herself to feel the essence of the moment. She wasn't obsessed with goals, but allowed herself to dream about what life had to offer. For her, happiness was found in the little things: an interesting book, a good conversation, or even a shared cup of coffee with a friend. It was in an introductory class that their paths crossed. Lucas, always eager to show off, sat in the front, his mind buzzing with business ideas and investments. He looked back, and as he did so, his eyes met Sophia's. It was as if time stopped. The connection was instant. A special spark danced in the air between them, as if they had known each other from past lives. Lucas felt that there was something different about Sophia. Her presence was a balm to his frantic ambition. Sophia, on the other hand, was intrigued by Lucas's vibrant and determined aura. He spoke passionately about his aspirations, and she couldn't help but admire his determination. In the weeks that followed, Lucas began to draw closer to her. In laughter-filled conversations, they shared their dreams and challenges. While Lucas talked about his vision of a bright future filled with achievements, Sophia just smiled, watching him with genuine interest. Sophia appreciated how Lucas seemed to strive to understand life in its nuances. He, in turn, learned to slow down and see the world through Sophia's softer and calmer lens. The afternoons passed quickly, filled with classes and conversations. Often, they met at a small cafe near the college, where the aroma of fresh coffee mingled with the sound of animated chatter. Lucas, always with his intense gaze, talked about his goals, the big companies he wanted to build, and the millions he wanted to earn. He was so focused that he often forgot to savor the simple moments spent with Sophia. However, what they didn't realize at the magical beginning of their relationship was that, despite the strong connection, their life visions were as distinct as light and shadow. Lucas dreamed of material success, while Sophia nurtured a lighter, more carefree perspective, full of appreciation for the small moments in life. The future seemed promising but also brought uncertainties. As their friendship deepened, the line between love and friendship began to blur, creating a complex web of feelings that both were trying to understand. And so, under the blue sky and the radiant sunlight, two young people from such different worlds began to write their intertwined stories. Time seemed to dance around them, as each glance and each shared laugh built a narrative filled with promises and challenges, where one's ambitions and the other's serenity would become the backdrop for the life that lay ahead. Little did they know that their paths would soon take unexpected directions, leading them to choices that would shape their destinies forever. As time passed at college, the friendship between Lucas and Sophia transformed into something deeper and more special. In the breaks between classes, they would sit under a large tree on campus, its green leaves dancing in the wind, as if also enjoying the joy emanating from their connection. Lucas often spoke about his grand ambitions. He dreamed of being a successful entrepreneur, owning his own company, and conquering the business world. His mind was an unrelenting machine, always planning the next step. He would tell Sophia about his projects, his plans, and his vision for the future, gesturing enthusiastically, his eyes shining with hope and determination. As Lucas spoke, Sophia listened attentively, admiring the passion he had for his goals. However, with each story he shared, she felt a concern growing within her. What Lucas didn't realize was that his relentless pursuit of success made him lose sight of the simpler and more beautiful things in life. And so, on days when the sun shone brightly, Sophia would decide to take Lucas on short walks in the park, where they could set aside the pressure of exams and expectations. With a radiant smile, she would show him the small wonders of the world, the beauty of a blooming flower, the laughter of a child playing, or the simplicity of an unpretentious stroll by a lake. Lucas, initially reluctant, began to allow himself to appreciate these moments. He realized that while his dreams were important, life was happening around him, and he was about to let it pass him by. One afternoon, as they walked together, Sophia stopped to watch a group of birds flying in formation. She commented on how nature had its own plans, and each of them had a role to play. Lucas, touched by her words, began to reflect on his own path. What did he really want? To merely accumulate wealth and fame, or to also find happiness in the simple things that were often overlooked? Thus, their relationship transformed into an exchange of teachings. Lucas encouraged her to delve into her aspirations, showing her that even without grand plans, there is always something to be achieved. He gently pushed her to think about the future, to dream a little higher, while Sophia reminded him that the present also held its value. Together, they formed a delicate balance. Lucas's ambition met Sophia's serenity, creating a harmony that few could understand. On weekends, they explored the city, each bringing something special to the experience. Lucas wanted to visit art exhibitions, discussing the hidden meanings in each piece, while Sophia preferred cozy cafes where they could share laughter and stories. One afternoon, in a small hidden cafe, as they savored their cappuccinos, Lucas looked into Sophia's eyes and made a promise. He said that when he achieved his goals, he would never forget how important the little things were and that above all, love and friendship were the greatest treasures. These moments created memories that would accompany them for a lifetime. But as Lucas became increasingly immersed in his studies and projects, his determination to achieve success also began to occupy his mind in an almost obsessive way. He dedicated extra hours to group projects, while Sophia, with her calm demeanor, encouraged him to take care of himself and not forget to live. She watched him with concern, realizing that his passion was turning into a pressure that pulled him away from what truly mattered. However, despite the differences in their life perspectives, both were aware that their lives were intertwined in a unique way. Each had something to offer the other, and the friendship they built was becoming a source of strength and support. College was just the beginning of a journey that would take them to unexpected places, but at that moment, amidst laughter and promises, they knew the bond they formed was special. Their story, marked by this dance between ambition and serenity, would lead them to make decisions that would shape not only each of their futures but also the future they shared together. The love blossoming between them was more than just attraction. It was a profound connection that challenged them to grow and evolve as the world around them changed rapidly. And so, with each passing day, they became increasingly inseparable, ready to face the challenges that would come. After months of dedication, sleepless nights, and extensive studying, Lucas and Sophia finally graduated. The day of the ceremony was filled with emotion. The college arena was adorned with colorful flowers and balloons, and soft music filled the air. The graduates, dressed in gowns and caps, smiled as they received their diplomas, symbols of all the effort and sacrifice they had made. Amidst applause and hugs, Lucas and Sophia found each other. He held her hand firmly and looked into her eyes, a mixture of joy and apprehension reflected in his gaze. But the future awaited them, and life, with its unpredictable plans, was about to put their destinies to the test. A few days after the ceremony, while Lucas was immersed in his quest for opportunities, he received an irresistible offer from a renowned company in a distant city. It was the dream job, the one he had always desired, and the salary was everything he had hoped for. Excitement washed over him. Finally, what he had always sought was within his grasp. However, the happiness was accompanied by a shadow of concern. Sitting at the kitchen table in his apartment, Lucas told Sophia about the proposal. The sparkle in his eyes was undeniable, but at the same time, there was a heaviness in the air. Sophia listened attentively, sensing Lucas's internal struggle. She knew how much he wanted this opportunity, but her heart tightened at the possibility of separation. When Lucas finished speaking, a heavy silence filled the room. Finally, she broke the silence. "Lucas, this is amazing. You should go and follow your dream. But what about us?" The question was laden with emotions, and she knew the answer could change everything. He looked at her, confusion overtaking his thoughts. "I'll come back. As soon as I settle in, as soon as I have everything in order, I promise I'll return to you." The certainty in his words was palpable, but at the same time, there was a fragility that Sophia couldn't ignore. She forced a smile, trying to believe in the promise. Hope, however, was a double-edged sword. In the following days, as Lucas prepared for the move, longing began to fill the space between them. The moment of goodbye arrived, and they met in the same park where they had spent so many happy moments. The birds still sang, but the music felt a little sadder. Lucas wrapped Sophia in his arms, feeling her warmth and the fragility of that moment. He promised that everything would be all right, that his dreams would come true, and that they would soon be together again. But even as he said this, a part of him was already beginning to feel the distance. With Lucas's move, Sophia's life became a mix of sadness and hope. Her daily routine continued, but his absence was a constant presence in her life. She attended classes, met friends, but at night, when the city quieted down, loneliness wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. Sophia wondered if she could really wait for him. Each message she received brought a fleeting joy, but also the pain of time passing without them being together. Lucas, on the other hand, was immersed in a new world. The city where he settled was vibrant and full of opportunities, but the pressure to stand out was overwhelming. He dove headfirst into work, dedicating long hours to impress his superiors. Ambition consumed him, and the idea of returning to Sophia began to be eclipsed by the need to succeed. Gradually, he started to make new friends, and distractions piled up like layers of paint over a beautiful work of art. Over time, the messages became less frequent. The calls dwindled, and the virtual meetings turned into empty promises. Although Lucas still held immense affection for Sophia, he found himself trapped in a cycle of responsibilities that pulled him away from her. He believed he was doing the right thing, that it was all for love, but at the same time, life was happening, and he was drifting apart. Sophia, for her part, began to wonder if she had made the right decision by supporting him. There were moments when she felt lost, unsure if the love they shared was strong enough to withstand the distance and change. Her life moved forward, but the pain of Lucas's absence was a constant echo in her heart. What had begun as a promising journey would turn into a painful separation and, ultimately, a path to unexpected choices. As Lucas climbed the ladder of success, the weight of his decision began to cast a shadow over the love he had left behind. And so, in pursuit of a dream for a better life, he was on the verge of losing what truly mattered. As Lucas immersed himself in his new life as a successful entrepreneur, building an admirable career with hard work and dedication, Sophia found herself surrounded by loneliness and longing. The pain of separation weighed heavily on her heart, but amidst the despair, she decided that she wouldn't let Lucas's absence define who she was. Sophia had always been a resilient woman, and that inner strength began to emerge, driving her to seek her own path. The first months were the hardest. Sophia would wake up, and the bed felt larger and emptier without Lucas by her side. Memories danced in her mind like ghosts of a happy past, from the laughter they shared to the dreams they spoke about for a future together. Even so, instead of succumbing to sadness, she made a choice to focus on herself and her personal growth. She enrolled in graphic design courses, something that had always been her passion but had taken a back seat during her student life and relationship. Each class was a new discovery. She allowed herself to experiment, create, and, above all, rediscover her own voice. Sophia found comfort and joy in the colors, shapes, and textures she used in her projects. Her teachers noticed her innate talent and encouraged her to explore new ideas, which reinvigorated her spirit. Sophia surrounded herself with supportive friends, and together they began attending art exhibitions and design events. These outings became a form of therapy for her. One day, while walking through a gallery, she saw a painting that made her feel something profound, a vivid representation of the struggle between light and darkness. In that moment, she realized that the pain she carried could also be transformed into beauty. As the months passed, Sophia's confidence grew. She started working at a local design studio, where her talent flourished. Each project was a new opportunity to express herself and do something she loved. Creativity became a form of healing, and despite Lucas's absence, she began to see a brighter future unfolding before her. As much as she had learned to live more lightly, the memory of Lucas never completely left her. There were days when the longing tightened her heart, but instead of succumbing to sadness, she used those memories as fuel to move forward. What had once been an unbearable pain transformed into a reminder of a love that shaped her. She looked at photos of them together and smiled, recalling the moments they had shared, but also remembering that her life was not just about what she had lost, but about what she could still achieve. Sophia became a respected professional in her field, gaining recognition and awards for her work. Unexpected doors opened, and she began to be invited to speak at conferences and events, where she shared her journey of overcoming challenges and embracing creativity. Life taught her that while love and pain may be inseparable, there is also beauty in transformation and reinvention. Meanwhile, Lucas continued his path to success, with his company growing and reaching new heights. He was recognized for his achievements and often found himself surrounded by people who admired his talent. But deep down, there was an emptiness in his heart that he couldn't fill. He had accomplished so much, but the absence of Sophia was a constant in his thoughts. And so, while each of them followed their path, one in pursuit of success and the other in search of her own identity, life continued to unfold. Sophia had become a strong and inspiring woman, while Lucas, even at the peak of his career, felt the absence of something that no amount of money could buy. The choices they made separated them, but also led them to a growth they could never have imagined. Thus, fate held surprises that only time would reveal, as the past and present of each began to intertwine in unexpected ways. Years passed since Lucas decided to leave Sophia in pursuit of his dreams, and time had shaped their lives in surprising ways. Lucas became a successful man, a true millionaire, admired and respected in the business world. He had amassed an impressive fortune, with a brilliant career, luxurious homes in various cities, and sports cars that had always been on his wish list. However, with each achievement, a shadow of loneliness followed him, like a persistent reminder of something missing in his life. Lucas's daily routine was a hectic one. He woke up early, donned his impeccable suit, and ventured into the business world, where meetings and negotiations consumed him. The people around him saw him as a success icon, but few knew the depth of the loneliness he carried. The glamour and parties he was invited to were nothing more than a facade, a fleeting entertainment that did not fill the void in his heart. The laughter around him sounded like distant echoes, and he often found himself staring out the window of his luxurious penthouse, contemplating how his life had turned into an endless race. Lucas often remembered the simple moments he had shared with Sophia. The sunny afternoons they walked together in the park, the laughter they exchanged over little things, and the conversations that stretched into the night, filled with dreams and promises. That lightness, that simplicity that once made him feel whole and happy, seemed to have dissipated along with his decision to go it alone. As the years went by, the image of Sophia never left his mind. He saw her in his memories as the woman who understood him deeply, who didn't care about material possessions but valued the essence of love and companionship. In moments of solitude, he wondered what had happened to her, if she was happy, if she had found someone who loved her as he had wished to do. The idea of reaching out haunted him, but the fear of her reaction and the shame of leaving kept him from taking that step. The life he had chosen left no room for vulnerability. The pressure of being a successful businessman and the expectations of everyone around him kept him trapped in an emotional armor. He surrounded himself with people who only wanted to be around him because of his wealth and fame, but the feeling of being surrounded by strangers was almost palpable. It was during his lonely nights, when the city was quiet and the bright lights seemed colder than ever, that he missed Sophia the most. Sometimes, he found himself opening Facebook or Instagram, searching for pictures of her, imagining what her life was like now. He followed her in thought, but he never had the courage to send a message, to break the silence that had settled between them. The idea that he could have changed her life and that now she was just a memory made him feel powerless. One night, while gazing at the moon through the window, Lucas decided he needed to change this. He took a deep breath, determined to reach out, but the reality of his choice knocked him down. How could he explain his actions? How could he tell her that, even with all his wealth, what he desired most was the simplicity of the love he had lost? He hesitated, courage abandoning him as quickly as it had come. And so, he continued his life, with his success and loneliness, seeking to fill a void that, deep down, could only be filled by Sophia's love. The internal struggle between moving forward and returning to the past grew increasingly difficult, and their story felt like an endless soap opera, where the pieces of the puzzle never seemed to fit. Meanwhile, life went on. The world around Lucas was a whirlwind of success, but his soul longed for something more. The future, however, was about to reveal itself in a way he could never have imagined. It was a sunny, mild day when Lucas decided to return to his hometown, 2 years after his last visit. He had received an invitation to a charity event for underprivileged children, a cause that had always touched his heart, even though his actions in recent years had been more focused on accumulating wealth than on helping others. Upon arriving, a wave of nostalgia enveloped him. The streets he once knew so well were filled with memories. He walked slowly, absorbing the familiarity of the landscapes that had shaped him and reminded him of the life he had before becoming a millionaire. As he walked along the cobblestone sidewalks and passed by the shops that now seemed so small, Lucas couldn't help but think about the choices he had made along the way. He felt a mix of nostalgia and regret as he recalled the days when he and Sophia explored those same places, laughing and dreaming together about the future. However, his stroll was interrupted by a sight that paralyzed him. Ahead of him, in one of the parks they used to visit, was a young woman with dark, wavy hair, whose beauty was undeniable. She was accompanied by a woman Lucas immediately recognized. It was Sophia, the woman he had left behind, who now, more mature, exuded a serene and captivating beauty. Lucas's heart raced, as if someone had punched him in the stomach. He felt a whirlwind of emotions: joy at seeing her again, pain for the choice he had made, and above all, confusion. The young woman beside Sophia had a familiar look, a smile that reflected something Lucas knew deeply. It was as if he were looking at a reflection of himself, a younger, more vibrant version. The intensity of the scene hit him, and he stood frozen for a moment, unable to move or process what was happening. Sophia was laughing, a laugh that Lucas knew so well. It was a sound that once brought him joy, and now it echoed in his heart as a reminder of what he had lost. He wanted to run to her, shout her name, and explain everything, but the sight of the young woman beside her made him hesitate. Who was she? The connection was undeniable. What did it all mean? The questions pounded in his mind as he felt like an intruder, watching a life that could have been his. As the image settled in his mind, Lucas had an overwhelming urge to approach, but the pain of the past held him in place. He remembered everything he had sacrificed to chase his dreams. He looked at the young woman, a strange feeling that she was a continuation of a love he hadn't known how to nurture. "What have I done?" he thought, guilt washing over him. The image of Sophia, with her carefree demeanor and gentle smile, was a constant reminder of the lightness he had lost. Desperate, Lucas stepped back a little, trying to regain his composure. What would happen if he approached? What if this young woman was, in fact, a part of Sophia's life now? The whirlwind of emotions mingled with the pain of a choice that had led him to a loneliness he never imagined he would feel. He turned away, trying to sort out his thoughts, but the desire to see Sophia again was stronger. But before he could decide, The young woman looked at him. And in that moment, Lucas felt that her eyes were a mirror reflecting the pain he felt. It was as if she knew. And for a brief moment, he glimpsed a chance, a possibility to mend what he had broken. Sophia turned to the young woman, and when she looked back at Lucas, her eyes sparkled with a mixture of surprise and recognition. He could see a flicker of emotion in her gaze, a memory that still burned brightly, even after all these years. The scene felt surreal, as if fate were playing with him, intertwining past and present in a way he never could have imagined. That day, which was supposed to be just another charity event, became a turning point in Lucas's life. He was about to rediscover not only his past but the chance for a future he never knew could still exist. His heart was torn between fear and hope as he hesitated in front of the possibility of a reunion that could change everything. With his heart racing and his mind filled with questions, Lucas slowly approached Sophia and the young woman beside her. He needed to understand what was happening. As he got closer, he noticed details that made his throat tighten. The young man, so at ease beside Sophia, had a determined look and an aura of confidence that reflected everything Lucas used to be in his youth. The way he spoke and moved made Lucas feel as if he were looking into a mirror from the past. "Hi, Sophia," Lucas finally decided to say, his voice slightly trembling but firm. Sophia turned, and for a moment, the world around them seemed to disappear. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of surprise and emotion, but there was also a hint of apprehension, as if time had revealed more than just the years that had passed. "Lucas, is that you?" The recognition in her voice echoed like a sweet song, bringing back memories he had tucked away in a distant corner of his heart. But before they could reconnect, Miguel, the young man beside Sophia, looked at Lucas with curiosity. "Who are you?" he asked, a bit defensive yet intrigued. Seeing the interaction between them, Lucas realized he needed to be honest, both with Sophia and with the young man who resembled him so much. "I'm Lucas, your mother's ex-boyfriend," he said, trying to smile while feeling a mix of sadness and nostalgia in every word. The revelation hung in the air, and the silence that followed was almost palpable. "My name is Miguel," the young man introduced himself, glancing from Lucas to Sophia. "My mom always talks about you. She never forgot you." Miguel's words were like a gentle breeze on a hot day, bringing a mix of comfort and pain to Lucas. He hadn't known that Sophia still had him in her thoughts, even after all these years. Sophia, with a look that overflowed with unspoken emotions, finally spoke. "Lucas, I didn't expect to see you here." Her voice was soft but full of feelings that couldn't be contained. "Miguel is my son. He's the result of a relationship I built after you left." Lucas felt as if a tremendous weight had been placed on his shoulders. The young man before him was not only Sophia's son but also an extension of his own story, a link between his past and a future he had never imagined having. The ambition he saw in Miguel, the same sparkle in his eyes he once had when dreaming of becoming a millionaire, was a direct connection to him. The idea that there was someone there who could, in some way, be a continuation of his own life filled him with a new sense of hope. But at the same time, Lucas found himself facing a dilemma. Should he approach Sophia, trying to mend the mistakes of the past, or should he let her and Miguel continue their lives, now complete and happy? Memories of his youth came rushing back, the moments when he and Sophia dreamed together. He recalled the warmth of their laughter, the knowing glances they exchanged, and the affection that had, at some point, been lost. The thought of trying to redeem himself now seemed like a risky path, but the desire to be part of Sophia and Miguel's lives, even in a modest way, called to him. Miguel looked at Lucas with curiosity, as if trying to decipher who he really was. "Are you still the same Lucas?" he asked, his tone filled with innocence and a quest for connection. Lucas hesitated, reflecting on the changes he had undergone. "I've changed, Miguel. I've learned a lot about what really matters in life," he replied sincerely. Looking at Sophia, Lucas realized that she had changed as well. The woman he had left behind was there, full of stories and experiences that had shaped not only her but also the young man beside her. He felt he needed time to think. How could he approach her without causing more pain or confusion? The last thing he wanted was to hurt Sophia again. "I don't know what the future holds for us," Lucas said, his gaze lost in memories. "But I would like to understand better the life you've built, Sophia. And who knows, maybe find a way to be a part of it." The sincerity in his voice resonated in the hearts of everyone present, and a respectful silence enveloped the group, as if time itself had paused to listen to his words. At that moment, Lucas understood that, regardless of the path he chose, the first step would be to seek the truth and, with it, open a new chapter in his life. He was ready to face the fears that had kept him away from Sophia for so long, even though uncertainty still lurked nearby. What was at stake now was the chance to rebuild a connection that, deep down, had never truly broken. In the days that followed the unexpected reunion, Lucas found himself caught in an emotional whirlwind. The success and wealth he had acquired seemed insignificant compared to the feelings of regret and jealousy that assaulted him. As he walked through his luxurious apartment, surrounded by awards, cars, and a stunning view of the city, a sense of emptiness enveloped him. He looked at the material achievements he had accumulated, but each trophy seemed to scream what he had truly lost: Sophia's love. It was as if, each day, he replayed the scene of their reunion in his mind like a movie he couldn't turn off. The way Sophia smiled at him, a mix of surprise and pain, echoed in his thoughts. She had always been his anchor, the only one who truly understood him, but now, seeing her beside Miguel, he felt that a chapter of his life was completely closed, and he was faced with a new story, one in which he had no part. In every business meeting, at the parties he used to attend, Lucas found himself imagining what life would have been like if he had chosen love over ambition. And Miguel's words, the young man who resembled him so much, echoed in his mind. "Are you still the same, Lucas?" That question poked at him, stirring up inquiries about his true identity. He wanted to be more than a successful businessman. He wanted to be a man who loved and was loved. Meanwhile, Sophia was equally confused. Lucas's presence, now a wealthy and successful man, forced her to confront a past she thought she had moved on from. Memories of their youth, the dreams they shared, and the promises of a future together flooded her mind. It was a sea of emotions she was trying to navigate, but she couldn't help feeling a mix of nostalgia and pain. Sophia looked at Miguel, her son, and saw in him a reflection of Lucas, the same determination in his eyes, the same ambition. But unlike what Lucas had become, Miguel also carried a lightness, a simplicity that reminded her of the times when she and Lucas laughed and dreamed together. With a heavy heart, she thought about how life had changed for both of them. While Lucas thrived in the business world, she had found happiness in a different way, building her career and raising Miguel. Every time Lucas appeared at an event or offered to help with charity initiatives, she couldn't help but follow his tall, confident figure with her gaze. There was something familiar and comforting about his presence, but also a sharp pain, a reminder of what could have been. What was once a pure love was now transforming into an internal battle between the joy of seeing him again and the pain of loss. Both were lost in their own thoughts when they met again at a charity event, a cause that had been important to them when they were young. The atmosphere was charged with emotion, and the room was filled with smiles and laughter. But for Lucas and Sophia, the joy around them felt distant, as if an invisible barrier separated them from everyone else present. Lucas decided it was time to confront his feelings. He approached Sophia, his heart pounding. "Sophia, can we talk?" The question was simple, but his words were laden with unspoken emotions. She hesitated, but the sincerity in his gaze made her agree. They found a more secluded corner of the room, away from curious eyes. The scent of her perfume enveloped him, and he recalled moments when he held her in his arms, protecting her from the outside world. "I can't help but feel that I left something precious behind," he said, the vulnerability in his voice surprising them both. "Seeing you now made me realize that, despite everything I've accomplished, I'm alone. And I don't know how to deal with that." Sophia felt a lump form in her throat. "Me too, Lucas. Your presence makes me feel things I thought I had buried. You have no idea how much it hurt to lose you, but I tried to move on. I managed to find a new life, a new way to be happy, but that doesn't mean I don't miss you." Her words struck him like an arrow, revealing the depth of the pain they both carried. "And what do we do now?" Lucas asked, hope and doubt mingling in his voice. "I don't know," Sophia replied, looking down at the floor. "It's complicated. Miguel needs me, and you've built your life. But at the same time, I can't just ignore what we feel." As they looked into each other's eyes, a wave of emotion enveloped them, revealing the truth. The love they had for one another had never completely vanished. It was like a flame that, even covered in ashes, still had the ability to reignite. But how could they find a way forward amidst so many uncertainties? With heavy hearts, Lucas and Sophia knew that, regardless of what they decided, what they felt for each other was still real and powerful. The future was full of possibilities, but they would need to confront their fears and insecurities to discover if they could truly build something new from what remained of the past. On that warm night, with a gentle breeze caressing their faces, Lucas and Sophia found themselves in a small cafe downtown, a place that held many memories from their college days. The atmosphere was magical, illuminated by hanging lights that twinkled softly, and the smell of fresh coffee mingled with the scent of flowers adorning the tables. It was a setting that invited reflection, and they both knew it was time to open their hearts. After placing their order, silence lingered for a moment, as if they were both waiting for the courage to speak. Sophia, with an expression reflecting both sadness and wisdom, began to share her journey. "You know, Lucas, after you left, I realized I needed to learn to take care of myself. Life didn't stop, and I had to reinvent myself. At first, it was hard. I missed you every day, but I couldn't stay trapped in the past. I had a son to raise, and life taught me that happiness is something we need to actively pursue." Lucas listened attentively, his heart tightening as he recognized the strength Sophia had found. He remembered the times he saw her anxious and insecure, but now she seemed so different, more mature, stronger. "And how did you do that?" he asked, curious and impressed. Sophia smiled, recalling all the small victories. "I learned to appreciate the little things. Every laugh from Miguel, every simple moment we spent together. I created a strong bond with him and found joy in the small accomplishments of everyday life. And, above all, I learned to forgive myself for not being the woman you expected. I am more than just a mother. I am a woman who rebuilt herself." Her words reverberated in Lucas, like an echo of everything he had also lost. "I should have done the same," he admitted, the vulnerability in his voice almost palpable. "I've achieved so much, but deep down, loneliness only grew. I can't say I'm not grateful for my success, but I realize now that it means nothing without love. I spent so much time chasing money and status that I left behind what really mattered." Sophia nodded, understanding that they were both caught in cycles that pulled them away from each other. "We let ourselves be carried away by our ambitions, Lucas. And what has that brought us? A life filled with material things but emotionally empty. I wonder what we could have done together. If we had made different choices, what would our life have been like?" Lucas sighed, the weight of nostalgia heavy on his shoulders. "I wonder the same thing. Having a home, building a family by your side. But time doesn't turn back, does it?" His expression became more serious, a mix of sadness and reflection. "I hoped that one day things would resolve themselves, that I could return and tell you how much you meant to me. But now you're here with Miguel, and I'm a stranger." Sophia looked away, struggling against the emotions that were surfacing. "It's not easy for me either, Lucas. I have a son, and that changes everything. He is my priority. But that doesn't mean I can't still feel something for you. The love we had never completely disappeared, but what could have been is not something we can force." The atmosphere between them was thick, filled with unspoken emotions. They were on the brink of a chasm of feelings that they both feared to cross. "The truth is, I still think about you," Lucas confessed, his voice trembling slightly. "No matter how far I go or how much I achieve, there will always be a void. A piece of my heart still belongs to you, Sophia. With sincerity in his eyes, Sophia felt the warmth of memories flood her. Those nights under the stars, the shared dreams, the vision of a future that now seemed so distant. But there was a spark of hope, a glimmer of what could be. What if, instead of mourning what we lost, we tried to find a new path, she suggested, her voice soft and filled with optimism. We can be friends, Lucas. We can support each other, even if we've taken different paths. I don't want you to feel like a stranger. You will always be a part of my life. Lucas smiled, feeling relief wash over him at her words. I'd like that. A new beginning. To start slowly, with honesty and no expectations. I just want you to know that I'll be here, in whatever way you need. And so, with the conversation flowing, they began to rediscover the connection they had always shared, now seasoned by their experiences and lessons learned. It was a delicate step, but at the same time, a necessary one to heal the wounds of the past and look toward the future, together but in a different way. As the coffee cups emptied and the night wore on, Lucas and Sophia realized that life continued. Although the past was always present, they were ready to write a new chapter, one that honored both what they had lived and what could still be. And that, after all, was the true meaning of happiness, finding joy in new possibilities, even amid the pain of longing. In that cozy cafe, where the walls seemed to hold the secrets of a shared past, the conversation between Lucas and Sophia grew increasingly intense. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped them, creating an atmosphere that mixed nostalgia and anticipation. As the hours passed, the world around them seemed to blur, leaving only the two of them and their emotions at the surface. Looking into Sophia's eyes, Lucas felt that this moment was decisive. He had carried the weight of loneliness for too long, and her presence awakened in him a deep desire for change. Sophia, he began, his voice firm yet filled with emotion, I now realize that I spent my entire life chasing things that don't matter. Success, money, all of that has no value without someone to share it with. And you have always been the person I wanted by my side. Sophia felt her heart race. Lucas's words were like balm for her old wounds, but at the same time, the memory of the pain he had caused still haunted her. She hesitated, her gaze lost on the coffee cup trembling in her hands. Lucas, she replied, her voice trembling, you don't know how hard I fought to overcome what happened between us. It was years of uncertainty and pain. I rebuilt myself and created a future for Miguel. And now, you want me to just forget all of that? I don't want you to forget, Lucas said, the sincerity in his tone warming the cold atmosphere of their uncertainties. I want us to build something new. I know I made mistakes. I left you behind, thinking I could return when everything was perfect. But the truth is, there is no perfection. There is only the opportunity to be better and to learn from our mistakes. I'm here now, asking for a second chance. The silence that followed was palpable. Sophia looked at Lucas, her emotions in conflict. The sincerity she saw in his eyes made her question everything she had believed. It was an invitation to rewrite their stories, but it also meant reliving the memories of a love that had once been so beautiful and, on the other hand, had caused her so much pain. Miguel, she finally said, breaking the silence. He is everything to me. I can't put his heart at risk again. He loves you, but what if this doesn't work out? What if you leave me again? Tears began to well in her eyes, and Lucas, touched by her vulnerability, leaned forward. I understand your concerns, he said, taking her hand in his. I want to know Miguel. I want to be a positive presence in his life. I'm not the same Lucas who left. I've learned that what really matters is love, family, and the connections we form throughout our lives. Please, give me the chance to show you and him that. Sophia looked deeply into his eyes, and for a moment, she saw the man she had loved. But at the same time, she also saw the wounds that still hadn't healed. It won't be easy, Lucas. We will need time, patience, and above all, trust. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, he replied, determination evident in his voice. "I will prove that I'm here to stay. I want to be a part of your lives, not just as a former love, but as a friend, a mentor, and who knows, maybe one day something more. I just ask that you let me in again." As emotions mingled in the air, the hope for reconnection began to take shape. Sophia felt that the decision she was about to make affected not just herself but also Miguel's future. The possibility of a new beginning pulsed like a beacon in their minds, offering a light at the end of the tunnel. She took a deep breath, considering Lucas's words and the sincerity she saw in his gaze. Finally, a small smile formed on her lips. "Then let's take it one step at a time. Let's get to know each other again, as friends. Miguel and I are ready for that. But remember, Lucas, I can't get hurt again. You must be sincere and open with us." Lucas smiled, a wave of relief and joy flooding his heart. "I promise I will do that. Let's rediscover what we have and, who knows, find something new and wonderful." And so, in that cafe that had witnessed so many stories, two lives began to intertwine once again. With the hope of reconnection and the possibility of rewriting their destinies together, Lucas and Sophia were ready to face whatever came next. The future, a blank canvas, awaited eagerly to be filled with new memories, new experiences, and, above all, a love that could be reborn from the ashes of the past.